In today's video, I'm going to share how you can build a simple CRM setup for your info and coaching business. A lot of people overcomplicate this. I'm going to show you a very simple way. Looks a little confusing, but it is not, I promise. We've done 70 million in cash collected through this structure right here. And I'm going to go over kind of the high level, what's going on here, some of the details in here, and then what really matters is how you can make better decisions for sales and marketing, how you can close more deals. All right. If you stick around to the end, I make these videos every day, and I'm going to share yesterday's stats on leads, apps, buyers, cash collected, all the things, and go through some updates. Last year, we did 30 million in cash collected in our women's fitness coaching business. I share everything on this channel that did work, what did not work, what we're actively doing to scale to 100 million. No ego, no fluff, no nothing. All with the goal of finding top talent opportunities and building a network of cool people who are doing the same. So let's get into it. So first things first, the idea behind this is structuring your data correctly so that you can make better decisions and that you can track things and all that, right? Like very simply put. So this is how we do it. Not to say this is the exact way, the right way. 19 people are going to comment and just be like, oh no, we do it this, like there's a million ways you can set this up. I'm just sharing what we have that has worked for us, and it has evolved many times. Okay. So like this is where we're currently sitting with it basically. So we'll go from there. So first things first, we're in HubSpot. Now, the root of this for an info coaching business, this is for high ticket and low ticket. I'm going to show you in here for us right now, how we're tracking both of those inside one, but the root of it essentially is a contact. Okay. Now over here, you're going to see the objects. This is HubSpot's like the different types of data you can store in different objects. So you have contacts, companies, leads, deals, tickets, all of this. Today, we're going to talk about just contacts and deals. Okay. So a contact can exist, which is one person. Technically, a contact or multiple contacts can exist for a company. We don't use companies because we're going B2C, but if you're going B2B, you would have a company, you could have multiple contact points inside there. And then you can have deals that are assigned to a contact. Okay. So one contact can have one deal, one contact can have many deals, right? So today we're just going to talk contacts and deals. We do use tickets. We do use some of these other pieces in here, the messaging, the invoicing, the activities that occur on a contact. Like you can go really down a rabbit hole here, but I'm just going to share today how we do this. Okay. So to start, contact. I tried to segment these in different colors and you'll see kind of where I went with this, but very simply put, you're going to collect name, email, phone, right? You're going to have all the contact information you have from them at the contact level. Okay. All of these for us are going to be pre-fed with Zaps, and you're going to use your CRM as your source of truth. The idea being you want to put all of the information that you have about a person that you collect over time into one centralized place so that later, the more data you have, the better, as long as it's structured correctly. Big key here. That you can then use that to make decisions, that you can use that to see trends. You can see that someone did this and this and this and then bought. And then you can see that 50 people did that and like, oh, that's an interesting new flow, right? So contact info. Now, at the contact level, for us, you're going to have a contact owner, which is constantly going to be changing, okay? So in the beginning, they get assigned to an SDR, let's say. Then they book a call, which creates a deal. The sales rep is assigned to them, okay? And it's changing there, but we're storing the history of what happened. So you're going to have an SDR owner, you're going to have a sales rep owner, or SP, sales rep owner, a triage owner, which for us is the call confirmation team, and then you're going to have a CS owner. I put this one in here, but this is all going to be about marketing and sales. You can technically do entire operations and fulfillment on here, but this video would be like 45 minutes. So I'm just going to do sales and marketing. Now, this is the fun part, or the part that makes the most sense to a lot of people. So for the data that we're collecting, these blue are going to be date fields that we're storing. Okay. Well, date and information fields that we're storing. So the contact owner, like I said, is constantly going to be changing as they move throughout the funnel steps. But what we really want to be able to do is track the funnel steps, when they occurred, how they occurred, and when they reoccur, when they happen again. So for example, everything is about how you structure your data. So for us, when we originally built this, it was like op date, app date, like all these things down here. And then as you scale and you have, so like O1 right here is offer one. So when you have split tests and all that, those are going to exist within that funnel. But the second you want to have like a completely separate dedicated VSL funnel, you're trying to push like apps into here and bookings into here. And like you're blending your data in a bad way. You're like blending it in a way that people are getting the wrong emails because they're in this funnel, but they should be in this funnel. So we identify this with like offer one VSL, which is different than offer one low ticket. Okay. So offer one VSL stage, this is going to be your opt-in, your app. This is for high ticket VSL call funnel. Okay. Opt-in, app, booking, purchase, right? Is like the generalized flow. So here, you're going to store that in basically drop-down fields. So it's going to be like, which one are they at? All of this inflow, when the action occurs, update this field. Now, this is important because as this is happening, you're also putting them in here with the date. So for example, today's April 12th, 2025. Let's say somebody opted in a week ago. They opted in on April 5th. We're going to put a date field in here. 2 days later, they applied. We're going to push the app date, the day that they applied. They then booked a call, same day. Booked the call for 2 days from now. We allow bookings out 48 hours. And that's there, okay? Now, with that data you then have, we're going to go into like how you actually use this in CRMs and technical side of things, or to make decisions. But you're storing this as you go across. So then you can see how many went from here to here, how many are in which stage. And then you can use these to then trigger automations and do all of that, okay? Now, same thing with low ticket. You're going to have dedicated ones because these all occur at the contact level. You can technically do this. Like, it's all about how you store your data and how you want to query it. Like, you could do this with other pieces of these objects. Like, some people do this as a deal and like mark it across. We do it at the contact level because it's what happened with that one person at what time. Same thing for low ticket. So you're going to have, for us, 3 stages are an opt-in and a purchase. And then everything leads to a backend purchase, okay? So because we only have one backend purchase, is actually just technically just backend purchase, not O1. But we have O1 VSL, O1 low ticket, and the different flows to get that backend purchase. Now, as you collect more information, there's just an example. There's like 900 things on here that I just didn't want to list just to show you how easy, just to show you the simple version of this. You're going to fill in the app answers and you're going to map them in so that on your sidebar, on your whatever, your sales reps can see all the application information that came in. So I just put app answer 1, 2, 3. We have like 16 questions on ours. So you're going to fill in the app answers. And another thing that you can do is then be able to go, okay, so people who answered this on the app, now this is so easy with ChatGPT. You can just like export all this with all these fields once you have the data in structured correctly and be like, okay, like what was the similarity in app answer 1 if it's free form, or how many people said yes here that then ended up closing versus no here, or, like did these different things. So you can do your own data analysis once you have clean data, which is the biggest part. Okay. So these app answers. Now, when somebody books a call, we have it create a deal. Okay. So for us, a call is a deal. Different people do this different ways. For us, it's that. Now, like I said earlier, a contact can have many deals. So simple example of this is when someone buys our low ticket, they are then pushed to book a call that we're calling an implementation call. That implementation call is with a setter. So that creates a deal that has the assigned owner, the deal owner as the sales rep, as the setter, and then has its own stages and outcomes. When the setter is on with that person on the implementation call, they then book one in with the closer. It creates a new deal. Okay, so now you have 2 deals for one contact. So you can see the different calls that happen, how many deals were generated in order to get a close, like all these different pieces, as long as you store all the data, okay? So getting into deals, same information. You're gonna have name, email, phone come over. We're gonna have deal owner, SDR owner, SP owner, and triage owner, because all of those 4 occur on a deal. On the setter deal, you're not gonna have an SP owner, okay? But in all of your data tracking, you wanna know how many deals came from a setter. You can easily go, how many, like of my deals right now, how many SDR owner are known, okay? Now that you have that, now what are the deal stage outcomes at what percentages across there? So you can see that the ones that have a setter known, you have 40% or a 80% show rate, for example, versus your marketing leads that do not have SDR owner known have a 30% show rate, right? So like you'll be able to see this data once you store the data clean. Now, other pieces that are stored within a deal that are different than in a contact, you're gonna have deal stage, right? And we'll go into that one. This is like a important one. Deal pipeline, you're gonna have different pipelines. For example, when I said the setter deals live in a setter pipeline, closer deals live in a closer pipeline. There's a bunch of stuff on fulfillment. There's different people on the different setups on that. But simply put, deal pipeline can just be that. Deal amount closed, update this. These can be required. So deal amount is required when marking that closed one and making sure that the values are correct, because then this is actually a portion of what we're gonna then pass into the Facebook pixel for through Cappy for the purchases. Terms link, dedicated terms link that makes it so we can pass it into Facebook's Cappy the same way. Set source. This one for us is a new one and pretty cool. So basically it is for SDR. So like once SDR owner is known, you then have to set a set source. So for us, we're using auto set and set source, and self set. So auto set, self set. Auto set is when we book these implementation calls direct with them on a calendar, 15-minute widget. Then they like create the deal on their own. Then they set from there. The other one is if they do the classic set, which is like dial 100, get 5 pickups, get 1 set, whatever the math is. Okay. So because we pay different commissions on that, that's all tracked in here, automated out into sheets and into trackers that then we can do commissions as well as see outcomes, right? So self-set versus auto set. What are the show rate differences, right? What is the close rate difference? What are the automations that are then connected to it based on this versus this? Okay. And then same thing, app answers, we carry that over so that when a sales rep gets on the phone or gets on a Zoom, right there, they can have the deal open. They can see all the application information at the deal level. They can also be on the contact level, see all that, see all the communications, see all the emails they've gotten, everything. Okay. Again, this is the very simple way to do this. And there's a million other ways to do this. It's just the way that we currently have a majority of this set up. Like I said, there's probably like 500 other contact fields in here that are like either hidden or whatever, but deal stages. Inside a deal, you're going to have a pipeline, which I should also have another arrow out here that shows like four or five different main ones. Deal stages, you're going to have call scheduled, no-show, cancel, deposit, which basically means they take $100, I believe it is right now, to secure their spot. If they rescheduled, if they became a hot listing, which means they're going to close within a month. Long-term nurture is more than a month. DQ is different than close loss because it just means like they cannot afford it at all. Different people do this at different levels. A lot of people DQ at the lead level, which still works. We actually pass it back through once someone sets that as the outcome. Close loss means that they could have closed, but they did not based on the sales rep. Pending approval is essentially just closed one, but they need approval to move to close one because we need to make sure that all the fields are correct. Because as soon as it marks close one, it does a ton of automations and pushes into CRMs. Into like Cappy, into Pixels, it pushes into channels, it pushes into like all these places. So it lands here before it gets management approval to closed one. Okay. Now, a lot of information right there. This is really simple. I promise you, this is simple. So you're literally just storing data. You're storing as much information as you can. You're making sure you have HubSpot team information on which owner is what. You're storing date fields for when they achieved a thing. This is extremely important, and I didn't really go too deep into this, but when somebody comes in like 30%, 50%, whatever the number is of your opt-ins, mainly opt-ins, it'll happen in other stages, but people will do it at like a secondary time. So they'll opt in for your funnel, and a month later, they'll come in and they'll re-opt in. The issue with this setup, and other people have better ways to set this up, I'm sure, but the issue with this setup is it'll overwrite their opt-in. So your date ranges that when you start to like try and pull data are wrong in the future. So what we do, and this still actually is going to happen with this setup, but what is going to happen is they get removed from automations in a different way. So for this, we have this so it auto clears itself every 14 days if they haven't moved out of an action, so that it's always basically like a fresh slate. We actually for opt-in have it like 3 to 7 days, but it removes them from this so that they can then re-enter and still get all the automations fresh. Versus if they opted in a year ago, they go to opt in today, the automations won't trigger because it's like, oh no, they already opted. But this can control that because you can clear it out so that they're at ground zero and then re-add the opt-in field that sits there for 2 weeks or whatever, and then re-puts them in the sequence because maybe you change your emails. Maybe they just didn't even open the first ones, right? So that's important. Now, how we use this to make decisions and automate things. So these are the 4 core stages of the VSL call funnel, okay? So you're going to have your opt-in date. You're going to have your app date. You're going to have your booked date, which is different. So booked call versus booked for. So 48-hour window. They booked on April 12th. They booked for April 14th. And then the backend purchase for our high ticket program. Now, what you can do once you actually have all this data in here stored is you are able to use this for automations and then for data. So for automations, you're going to have your push to apply when your opt-in date is known, but your app date is unknown or does not exist, right? Very simply put. Then when this triggers, your unenrollment occurs because it no longer matches the enrollment criteria, okay? So you have those two set up on top. People are in the email sequence. As soon as it flags that they hit the app, it pushes them out of there. There's a million ways to do this. You can just auto removals. You can do when they do this. Like, this is a very simple way to put it though. So you're sending them all the push to apply. And then what you can also do once you have this data in there is you can have a count of how many are at each stage. You can have a completion percentage. So you have 30 apps, but you have 100 opt-ins. So you have a 30% completion rate or a 30% next down the funnel step. And then a big one that a lot of people don't track, but is like pretty native to a lot of these, but is time to. So what is the time from opt-in to application that occurs? And then you can go, what is the time to purchase from these different stages once you store the data and once you're updating the fields inside the CRM. Okay. So same thing here. Once someone goes from app to booking, you're trying to push them to book. As soon as they book, you pull them from all this, but you stored all the data. And then push them to show, which is like the call confirmation, email, stuff like that. And then push to close. This is just kind of like the more literal of what you're doing. But you're going to take them from here to here. And then you're going to show, you can also get the count, the completion percentage, and the time too. Now, beauty is this, you can grab these three for all of this. So like how long does it take someone to go from an app to a purchase on average when purchase is known? How long does it take from go to an opt to a purchase? From a deal, from a contact creation, which is generally this, an opt to a booking. Like these are very interesting numbers once you start to gather a lot of data, because your sales cycle could be like 16 days on average, and you don't even realize that once you start to do volume. Or you'd be like, oh, okay, cool. So on average, a booking to a purchase is actually for us like 3.6 days. So like that's a lot of follow-up as a percentage, right? Because if the call was in within 48 hours, that is a very limited amount of those, or the average is being swayed out from that first call booking window. So it's like, okay, follow-up calls, it's, thinking about it, have to talk to a partner. So you get all this data and then you can go back and try and solve for it. Now for low ticket, very similar thing. Someone's going to opt in, but not purchase. It's a two-step order form. So we're going to capture that. We're going to capture this. We're going to have email sequence and text, I believe, because I believe we collect phone number on this right now, but push them back to the low ticket to purchase. Then same thing. How many of them opted in but did not purchase? What is the count? What is the completion percentage? For us right now, it's like 55, 60%. What is the time to do so? Okay, so if the automations are working, this may be extended out a little bit further. Like you obviously want it as fast as possible, but like, what is it actually? And then purchase to implementation call. For us, once someone purchases, we're trying to get them on the phone with a calendar or on the phone with a setter. So that is an implementation call that is booked. So what is the counter percentage that do this? For us right now, it's like 65% of this. So you have 55% of people who opt purchase, 55, 60% of them then book an implementation call. And then I just drag that up here because what they're actually doing on the implementation call is setting them with a closer up here. Okay. A lot of data, very heavy. Oh man, I'm 17 minutes in. So that's the general gist. Any question, these are meant to be conversational. So like anything you have any questions on, you think that I could be doing better, please. Like I'm total open ears, no ego. Like this is just how we've had it structured over time and it has evolved. So Instagram for DMs, comments, anything like that. And then obviously comments below of like any topic ideas. Let's go through yesterday's stats real quick and then I will send off. Yesterday leads 715, apps 141, calls. That's not right. Calls yesterday was 78. Right? Yeah. Yesterday, 78 calls generated on day, and then 10 high ticket buyers, which is beautiful to see. This is still low for us, but like not low for us as of recent. We have been in terrible times with like 2s and 3s and 4s, and that's when we lose money. So this is back up into the okay range. Okay, not at all good, not like heavy profitable, not any of that. 62K is only what 1.8 million a month, which is like not good enough for us to be able to be making profit and scaling in. But 71 low ticket buyers is very interesting. So we're leaning heavily into this right now. I'll do another video later about us updating on this, but like the stats are good, very good. The net CPA is good. The ascension rate or the move to low ticket call rate, the sales show rates and close rate are all like in alignment, which all says, what is the ascension rate? How many people bought the low ticket? How many people bought the high ticket? That math is working out really well for us right now. So we're going to lean into this heavier and see how that takes for time. Cash collected, 62,800. Okay. Not great, not terrible. Right direction. Better than 30K days, but not better than our 150Ks and 100 and whatever is steady. So that's what we're getting back to. And then, last thing I have on here is just like what would be valuable. So I just am making these videos with whatever comes to mind and some random comments, but like comments on these videos, likes, shares, getting these out so I can understand what is helpful. A lot of these videos I feel like as of recent have been like, oh, this big number, this, that. And like we're trying to do that on purpose to get like the views up, but like also share the no fluff, like just trying to be like authentic and real about these. But I just want to be able to provide value, and just share what we're doing. And again, not to say that it's always right or wrong or whatever. It just is, right? It just is what we're doing. So yeah, comment anything. Let me know if you guys have any other questions, and I'll talk to you soon.